How Vikings engineered warmth from the ground up when winter meant death. Cold kills from below, and the Vikings knew it first. Cold does not arrive with drama. It does not need blizzards or screaming wind to be lethal. It works quietly, pulling heat out of the body through contact, minute by minute, hour by hour. Long before modern insulation charts and thermal modelling, Viking families understood a truth that many builders still overlook today. The ground is the real enemy. In the first moments of winter exposure, heat is not stolen by the air, but by whatever your body touches. And that single realization shaped one of the most effective survival designs in human history. Before we go further, if you value history that explains how people actually survived the hardest conditions on Earth, take a moment to like this video, share it with another history enthusiast, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to The Hard Past. It helps this channel keep uncovering the real mechanics of survival behind ancient civilizations. Now let's get into the engineering that kept Viking families alive when winter meant death. Why the ground mattered more than firewood. Most ancient societies responded to cold by building bigger fires. The Vikings took a different path. They noticed that people could sit near a hearth all night and still wake up exhausted, sick and cold if the floor beneath them was wrong. Frozen soil acts like a heat vacuum. It draws warmth out of the body relentlessly, especially during sleep. Burning more fuel only treated the symptom. The Vikings targeted the source. Their longhouses were designed around one principle: sever the relationship between human warmth and frozen earth. Raising the floor to break thermal contact. Viking floors never sat directly on bare ground. They were lifted just enough, often between 10 and 40 centimeters, to break what modern physics calls conductive heat transfer. That narrow gap, mattered more than thick walls or roaring fires. By raising the living surface, they cut off both cold conduction and capillary moisture rising from the soil. The result was a drier, warmer interior where body heat was no longer surrendered straight into the earth. Stone, sand and gravel as a hidden heat engine. Beneath the raised floor lay a carefully layered mineral system. Gravel came first, chosen for its ability to drain moisture downward and prevent ice from forming beneath the house. Above it sat sand, which levelled the surface and distributed heat evenly. Embedded within this foundation were stones selected for their thermal mass. Granite and gabbro absorbed heat slowly from the hearth and released it gradually through the night. The Viking floor functioned as a thermal battery, storing warmth when fire was present and giving it back long after flames were gone. Archaeology confirms this design was deliberate. Excavations in places like York, Ribe and Hedeby reveal stones cracked by repeated heating and cooling, ash layers beneath floors, and mineral foundations rebuilt over generations. These were not accidents of construction. They were maintained systems. Organic insulation that breathed instead of rotting. Above the stone layer came organic materials that modern builders often dismiss as primitive. Straw, reeds, rushes, and sometimes raw wool formed an insulating blanket filled with trapped air. These fibres slowed heat loss while allowing moisture to move instead of becoming trapped. That mattered in a climate where dampness could kill as effectively as cold. Wool insulated even when wet. Reeds resisted rot. Straw could be replaced seasonally. The floor was not sealed, it was alive. This system was adjusted throughout the year. In winter, families thickened the organic layer to retain warmth. In summer, they removed portions to improve ventilation. This seasonal adaptability is something modern construction rarely allows, yet it was central to Viking survival. Thin wooden planks completed the system. The final surface was not heavy lumber, but thin wooden planks made from slow-grown Nordic pine and spruce. Their density reduced heat loss, while their flexibility allowed the floor to expand and contract with changing seasons. Gaps between boards let moisture escape upward rather than condense below. The Vikings understood that a floor that could breathe would last longer, stay warmer, and remain healthier. When, the floor, walls and roof became one machine, the Viking longhouse worked as a single thermal organism. Turf roofs piled thick with earth-trapped heat from above, while dense timber walls stabilized interior temperatures. Warm air pressed downward instead of escaping upward, and stored heat rose gently from the floor. Even after the hearth burned out, the house remained livable. Families slept near the floor because, that was where warmth lingered longest. This was passive heating perfected, without blueprints, equations, or modern tools. Why do modern buildings still fail where Vikings somehow succeeded? Concrete slabs, sealed vapour barriers and airtight flooring systems often create cold, damp interiors even with central heating. Concrete drains heat rapidly and traps moisture. Many modern homes lose enormous amounts of energy straight into the ground. The Vikings avoided this by refusing to seal their floors against nature. They managed moisture instead of fighting it and stored heat instead of, always chasing it. So, what does all this mean for survival today? Well, the Viking floor is not just some old relic, Its principles still apply to cabins, off-grid shelters, and honestly to any cold-weather survival structures. Elevation, drainage, thermal mass, breathable insulation and, even seasonal adjustment. These can really outperform a lot of modern solutions, and all with simple materials. Gravel does not rot. Stone never fails. Organic insulation can be renewed. And firewood consumption drops dramatically when heat is stored instead of wasted. What the Vikings really passed down, it was knowledge. This knowledge was cultural, not just technical. Children grew up watching floors rebuilt, straw replaced, stones reset. Survival was taught through maintenance, not just theory. That kind of continuity, honestly, allowed Viking settlements to endure where others simply vanished. And here's the lesson buried beneath our feet. The Vikings did not survive winter by overpowering it. They survived by understanding it. Their greatest defence against the cold wasn't fire, steel or strength, but the ground beneath their feet, engineered with patience and respect for nature's rules. That lesson, I think, still holds power 1,000 years later. If this deep dive into ancient survival engineering helped you see the past a little differently, go ahead and subscribe to The Hard Past. Share this video with someone who loves real history, and keep exploring the hard truths that shaped human survival.